Hey guys, in this video I want to highlight the importance of attending live events in your niche or your industry, and how attending these live events and building relationships with the caliber of people that show up to these events can help catapult your success in your niche or your industry exponentially. All right, so when you first think of live events, the first question that pops in your head, if you haven't been to one yet, is probably the cost that it takes to attend these live events. And I'm not talking about live meetup.com groups or live events in your area. Some of those are free, some of those are paid, but I'm talking about the ones that are industry events, conferences, and probably in other cities that you're located in. I'm in the US, so a lot of the events in the internet marketing, affiliate marketing world are held in cities like Vegas, New York, places in California, Florida, places like that. And of course, if you're in different continents, Australia and parts of Europe, then they have their their own meetup locations where they're big cities where they meet up and hold their conferences there. But in the States, it's mostly Vegas, big cities in California, New York, Orlando, places like that. And the first question that comes to mind for those of you watching this is probably the cost involved in attending those events, which is a valid concern. So we're definitely going to address that in this video. So when I first started in affiliate marketing and internet marketing, it took me a couple of years before I was making any significant money, period. So I wasn't really in much of a position to attend these events. I didn't know anybody in the space. I was really just doing things on my own. I didn't even know, again, I wasn't familiar with the faces in my niche, in my industry yet, and I wasn't making a lot of money. But eventually I got familiar with some of the players in the affiliate marketing space, so I became more familiar with people. And over time I learned that if you really want to get ahead and get ahead fast, you really need to start making an effort to attending live events and mixing and mingling and collaborating with some of the people that attend these events. So one thing you've got to realize when you go to these events, whether they are in your city, maybe you're in a larger city so you don't have to fly there or drive there, but one of the things you need to realize when it comes to these live events, if people are willing to pay a couple of $100 or a couple $1,000 to be at these events, whether they're already successful or whether they haven't really achieved the success that they're really looking to achieve yet, then you need to really understand that these people are serious. Otherwise they wouldn't shell out the amount of money that it costs to go to these events. And honestly, these events, a lot of times, they're not that much money for the events themselves, but then you have to factor in transportation and food and things like that. So taxis, cabs, meals, hotels, and then the price of the event. So altogether, a lot of times I'm paying somewhere between $1,000, $3,000 sometimes to go to these events, depending on where they are in the country or the world. But again, when I first got started, I wasn't really in much of a position to go to these events. I wasn't in a position at my job or career or with credit cards or money in the bank to be able to go to these events. And I didn't really think that it was cool or that many people actually attended them. I found out later that that's the opposite. Really, the only people that are the big players are the ones that show up to these events a lot of times. And some people that are doing big numbers don't show up at all, but there's a lot of 6, 7, 8 figure earners that go to these events. And again, I'm talking specifically about affiliate marketing, make money online niche, but you may be in a different niche, and that's fine. Each industry's got their own conferences and events. The main events for that particular niche or industry, and you need to figure out what those are and figure out where these people that are interested or involved in the things that you're interested in getting involved in kind of congregate once a year, twice a year, or however many times they meet up. So you need to figure out where they meet. And then the second thing that kind of it was a hurdle for me to get over was obviously the expense, and that was once I got past the idea of that it was just going to be a bunch of nerds and weird people at these internet marketing, affiliate marketing events, and so the expense, and I put it off for years and years, and because I didn't think that I could afford it. And really, if you're making any money at all, or if you have any leverage, whether you use a credit card or you can get a loan, it's really worth your time and energy and money to invest in these live events, rather than not going, and invest in them sooner rather than later. One of the first live events that I attended, by that time I was familiar with a lot of people in the internet marketing, affiliate marketing space, and I walked up to someone that I recognized and I knew had a lot more success than me at the time, and had achieved that success in a relatively short amount of time. And so I asked him, what was responsible for your success so quickly? Like, how'd you go from like working at a job, and then in a couple of months later you're making multiple 5 figures a month? And he said, number one, going to live events, that was the first thing he did, and then meeting people, people that can be mentors at these live events. So you've probably heard of hiring a mentor, and that's kind of can be a high ticket thing, and will also take some additional investment, and you got to choose those wisely as well. But that's another thing that you can get insight into by going to these live events. You can kind of ask around, and some of the people that you might meet there might be willing to mentor you as well. And you get, when you got the ability to corner these people in a room and really ask them whatever questions you want, it's a lot different than going back and forth online with Facebook Messenger or email or something like that. They're gonna a lot of times tell you the truth and the real answers. Marketers may be saying and doing certain things online, but a lot of times at these events, they're just going to tell you the truth of what's really working for them, because a lot of times the products and the services that we steer people towards and that we promote may not be the products that we use and recommend for ourselves or for people that are our friends and things like that, if that makes sense. So sometimes a certain product may pay you a little bit more, so you naturally are going to send more people to that product, whereas you yourself might favor a different product. So that's just one example, but being at these live events, you get the opportunity to just be real and talk to these people face to face, and you can get a lot of information, insight from them in a short amount of time. So again, I highly recommend going to events, and however you can make it work. And again, I know one of the hurdles in the beginning is the price, but you just have to figure out a way to be resourceful and get past that. I'll tell you this one story. The last job I worked at was an e-commerce company, and this company had been around for several decades, and they got in on the internet boom and rode the trend of the internet and started with a website and moved to an e-commerce site after that. And they started going to these internet conferences and events to kind of stay up to date on the trends, the things and changes that were happening in the early days of the internet. And the guy I used to work for said every year that they went to these events, and again, they cost money, and a lot of times it's more than one person that's going there. Again, you're not just paying for the event, but you're paying for the hotels, meals, transportation, things like that. And he said every year that they went, they always made tons more money. And there were a couple of years there for a while that they thought, hey, we're doing so well, let's just cut our conference budget and let's just not go there because we're doing so well. We've got a good thing going here, and we can probably make plenty of money and do fine without that. And he said the few years that they didn't go to these conferences and events were the only years that they either lost money or they had kind of a dip or decline in their sales. And he said once they started going to the events again, their sales started to skyrocket. So it can feel like a risk on the front end to fork out a couple of grand to go to these events. And sometimes who's going to be there. Sometimes you'll find out when you get there as far as advertisers or specific people you want to meet, vendors or product owners, relationships that you want to kind of establish. But it's hard to measure the ROI on the front end. A lot of times I don't make an immediate ROI like the week after or anything like that. But by the end of the year, usually within a couple of weeks or a couple of months, and it may trickle into the following year, it's going to pay me back. I've always had a positive ROI by attending these events. A lot of times, conservative numbers, probably like 10x plus per event. So, just one relationship, one nugget of information can make it all worth it. So attending live events is something I highly recommend. You don't have to attend a lot. Just seek out the ones that are the industry standards for whatever your niche or industry is, and a lot of times they'll have lists or places you can find those, and it's a little bit of trial and error. You may not pick the best event on the first try, but just by going to one of these events you can kind of ask around and see what other events other people that are attending that one also attend or have attended and had great results with in the past, and you get some insight, and then you'll eventually learn the handful of events that are really the most crucial for you to attend. So it's not a big commitment to be at one or a couple of these events a year, and one or two of these events a year can make all the difference. It's can be the difference between an extra 6 or 7 or 8 figures in your business and sales in a calendar year. And kind of the reason I'm making this video is I just got back from one. I just got back from Affiliate Summit West. This is actually the first time that I've been to that event. It's been going on for years, and it's one that I've kind of avoided and pushed back for several years. I finally went to it, and just by mingling with probably about 4 or 5 people there, I didn't really talk to too many people, but I talked to some key people, the right people for what I'm doing. And I know that as a result of just 1 or 2 of those people that I chatted with, that's going to result in at least an extra 6 figures for me this year, and that's probably pretty conservative. It's probably going to be somewhere between $500,000 and $1 million in extra sales that I'm going to generate as a result of just showing up to that event and talking to the people that I chatted with. So, these events can be extremely lucrative, and this one in particular, I only spent, probably somewhere between $1,500 and $2,000 total, all expenses, meals, hotels, flight, everything. So attending live events is something I definitely recommend. I know, again, it can seem kind of counterintuitive on the front end because of the costs that you have to fork out on the front end, especially if you're kind of just barely getting by, or maybe you're not quite there yet, but you're just, looking for a way for you to increase your success exponentially. I would highly recommend starting by attending live events, because it's one of the fastest ways to get ahead in your niche or industry. There's just you get one step closer to meeting the right people and getting the right information firsthand, face to face with these people that are probably where you want to be in your industry. So when it comes to excuses, whether it be you can't get off work, or you can't find the time, or you don't have the money, use a credit card or sell some of the stuff that you're not using. Find the money. Don't make excuses. Find a solution. Figure out a way that you can attend these live events and just get outside your comfort zone. I just started attending live events, these conferences and events. I've been going to local live events for the last several years, but I just got out of my little comfort zone about 2 years ago, and that has been the difference between just making a couple of $100 and a couple $1,000 a month to having my first 6-figure year last year. And that was the previous year I made less than half of that. So just the power of building relationships and attending these live events is incredible. So if you've been on the fence with attending live events for some time and you think that they may or may not be worth the time, money investment, they are. I hope this video has helped change your opinion on that, and I suggest you start making a list of the events that you want to attend in your niche or your industry, and then just start attending them one by one, and then eventually you'll figure out the events that you want to attend on a regular basis. So I hope this video has been helpful, and thanks so much for watching. Hey guys, thanks so much for checking out this video on my channel. If you enjoyed this video and you want to get alerts when I release new videos like this one, definitely subscribe. Also be sure to like my Facebook page. There should be a link in the comments where you can find that page. It's sort of a backup channel to this one because some of my previous channels have gotten terminated, which is no bueno, and that's actually a very important lesson for you. Always back up your stuff and have a plan to pivot just in case anything goes wrong, because it probably will. And last but not least, I only have one thing to actually sell you and to promote. So if you're curious about how I have the time, the money, and the freedom to make videos like the one that you just watched, I want to invite you to check out my course, SEO Affiliate Domination. Inside that course, I'm going to introduce you to the same strategies that I've used and still use to create a six-figure passive income for myself, which enables me to pretty much do whatever I want. And these are methods that anyone can use and achieve similar results with. So if you want to check that out and learn more, visit SEOaffiliatedomination.com. And until next time, make money, help others, have fun.